Local sport, North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
If you would like to give us a call, you'll need to dial 0800 234 6565, or you could send us a WhatsApp message 08000 321 333. Start your message BBC or text 81333, again starting with the letters BBC. And if you want to send us a message and we can then call you back for a chat, that's fine as well. Just put a note in your message to say that you are willing to be called back, and we'd love to get you on air tonight. There is plenty to talk about. Ando, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Yes. You've got a smile on your face. You enjoyed that second goal in particular, didn't you?
Enjoyed both of them.
Yes.
I mean, I spoke to you after the game. People were saying that he got his substitution spot on.
Yeah.
I still maintain if he hadn't made him, we would have won by more.
But that's been put into a bit of context by what he said afterwards, which we will come to. We will come to.
Yeah, true enough. Look, it was a great performance. A lot of good individual performances, but as a collective, they were outstanding.
Yes,
they really were.
Marco Gabbiadini, ex-Sunderland striker, with us as well. Good evening, Marco. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Did you watch last night? I know it wasn't your team.
Never. I was a bit busy.
Oh, okay.
I was following it on the BBC app, but yeah, it was. I was the most interesting thing about it is Arteta's comments.
Yes,
I saw him on Twitter this morning, and I hope this is. You keep seeing these interviews now that's AI. I thought it must be something somebody's made up.
He didn't complain too much about the ball in the last 3 rounds when they scored 11 goals.
No, he didn't, did he? It's the same ball used then.
Same ball used then.
Yeah. Well, we will hear a bit more about that later on in the programme. Not too long, in fact, because we're gonna, as you would expect, start with Newcastle tonight. We'd love to hear from you. 0800 234 6565. That's the number to call. I've just one message from Robert has just caught my eye, which has already come in. So that's nonsense. Isak, he's not the best striker in Europe. He's the best in the world, says Robert. Never mind Europe. Okay. Anyway, I mean, you can't win a 2-legged semi-final after one match, but you can put yourself in a fantastic position to reach Wembley by going down to Arsenal and scoring 2 goals without reply.
Isak turns, holds it up, plays in Joelinton, and he got completely underneath that. And in the 4th minute, Newcastle with their first attempt, but it is high over the crossbar. Right-footed in-swinger, headed over the top. And that is a big opportunity for Yuri and Timber. Isak getting away from his man. Isak into the penalty area, looks for Gordon. Might come for Lewis Hall. Cleared away in front of the goalkeeper. And then Arsenal with another clearance straight to Tonali over the top. And here's an opportunity for Martinelli to race away into the penalty area. Martinelli hits the post. It's delivered in by Rice. Dubravka's missed it. And Arsenal trying to stab it in. The ball is loose on the 6-yard line. What a block. Sven Botman threw himself at it. Dubravka hangs it up, and the big boys try to help it on. It's lifted into the area. Here's Isak. It's into the net. Alexander Isak off the bar and in as Newcastle take the lead in the League Cup semi-final. It's now with Murphy. Low ball to Isak in the box. Alexander Isak with a shot saved. Yes! Anthony Gordon has doubled the advantage for Newcastle United in front of the away end. 51 minutes at the Emirates Stadium in the first leg. Anthony Gordon, and it's Arsenal 0, Newcastle United 2. Murphy finds a gap for Tonali. First time cross, the keeper's pushed it away from Gordon, who was ready to tap it in on the 6-yard line. Now the cross takes a deflection. Havertz header. He's got it all wrong. Kai Havertz at the near post with the ball dropping after a Newcastle deflection on the cross. Should score, and he's headed it wide. Here's the corner to the back post, headed over the top.
Again. Dear oh dear.
It's Gabriel Jesus, the substitute. The cross from the right edge of the box. Jorginho over the top. They pass it to Odegaard. His cross lifted in there, helped on, lifted up, and Dubravka claims. Sean Longstaff heads away. Final whistle is blown. Newcastle United with a 2-0 win at the Emirates Stadium in the first leg of the League Cup semi-final. A huge step towards a return to Wembley.
We all have to enjoy when you win, but of course in this moment it's slightly different because there's another game, obviously a long time away really, which is quite unusual, but we know Arsenal's quality and we know that the game is far from over. We have to do all the same things that we did tonight and even better to get through in the tunnel.
Razor with the commentary there, and he'll be on the show a little bit later actually. He's gone to meet a couple of big Newcastle names of the past from the entertainers team. He's going to be talking to Rob Lee and Keith Gillespie, so you'll hear from them later in the programme as well. I'm sure they'll have something to say about last night's match. Ando, how did you rate the performance then overall?
Exceptional, from start to finish. Tactically, I thought we were spot on. As you would expect, going down there, a place where we've never ever done well. Our record down there is really poor, but you expected Arsenal to have all the ball, which they did, but they had chances, but they didn't take them. And I thought on the counter-attack, we were always dangerous. Mm-hmm. We always looked like causing the problems with the pace that we had.
In a way, was that the kind of game which suits Newcastle?
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, where we like teams to come at us and leave space, and like teams to commit a lot of players forward. That leaves a lot of grass for us to run into. But look at the first goal there's nothing tippy-tappy about it. It's an old-fashioned free kick launched from halfway inside our own half by Dubravka. Send the big boys forward, go and battle for it.
Yes.
And ball drops, and if you wanted to drop anybody at the moment, you wanted to drop the seconds. Great finish. Second goal, again, at the start of the second half, Arsenal had all the ball. And we just hit them on the counter-attack again.
Yes.
It was a great performance, to keep the shape that they kept and to keep the discipline that they kept throughout the 90 minutes was brilliant, because all it takes is for somebody just to switch off just for a sec against those type of sides, and all of a sudden you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Nobody did. Everybody kept their discipline, kept their mind on the jobs that they had to do.
Yeah.
It was outstanding.
2-0 then, a fantastic result to take into next month's second leg, and there'll be quite an atmosphere at St James's for that one. Last night, Eddie Howe was of course full of praise for his team.
We tried to go toe to toe with them in the first half, really aggressive, tried to be ourselves, which we think is our best way to win, but we had a lot of issues at half time, injury issues that we had to try and navigate our way through. All the players came back on the pitch, but I don't think they were 100% fit, so we had to make substitutions, and then we lost a bit of rhythm, and then it was a case of just trying to make sure we didn't concede, because we lost our striker. Alex was just feeling his hamstring slightly, so we had to withdraw him, and then Anthony had taken a couple of knocks against Tottenham, so we had to look after him. So yeah, we went into the territory where we had to really dig deep, and Arsenal were coming strong at us, set plays, crosses. I thought there was some heroic bits of defending in there.
Yeah, so he kind of he explained the substitutions there. So because you've already touched upon it at the beginning of the show, and you talked about it last night as well. You would have liked to have seen them just carry on doing what they were doing, and they might have scored more.
I think they would have done, yeah.
But with Isak maybe carrying a knock and Gordon as well, he decided, no, I'm going to go 5-5-0 and basically keeping it 2-0, and they did that.
They did that, yeah. I think Arsenal's two centre-backs were absolutely delighted when they seen Isak going off.
Yes.
He scored the goal, but not just his goal, his movement, the way he worked the channels, the way he dropped into the hole, picked it up, got turned, caused Arsenal all sorts of problems. Gordon, you know what Gordon does. He's just he's a live wire. He's all over the place. He's in people's faces.
And he's enjoying being in his preferred position, because he had a spell when he was moved around.
He looks a different player, doesn't he, on that left-hand side?
Yeah.
Yes, he can play on the right side, and of course it was his cross up here in the league game against Arsenal that Isak powered home, but he looks far more comfortable on that left-hand side. As I said, a lot of big performances. Botman, for somebody who'd been out for 10 months.
Well, the two centre-halves, really.
Yeah, but Botman especially, because of the length of time he was out. He played 90-odd minutes against Spurs 4 days ago, and to put in the performance and some of the blocks that he put in, and he got some great headers away as well. I'm sure he'll have been aching all over this morning. I just think the spine of the team, Pridey, and I said this to you last night when we were talking afterwards. Dubravka, Botman and Bourne, Tonali and Isak straight through that middle, and then the two fullbacks. Livramento never gave Martinelli a kick. He never. I don't think he did. I think he did him once when he got a cross in, but that was the only time in 90 odd minutes. And Hall just goes from strength to strength, from week to week. You can say that about a lot of them in there. But it was there was so many good performances. It was great. The only disappointment for me is the fact that the second leg's not next week or 10 days time, because a lot can happen in football in a month.
Yes.
And we've got I think we've got 5 more games before that second leg.
They might carry on regardless. So there's
a lot could happen. You're keeping your fingers crossed. Yeah, you're keeping your fingers crossed that everything goes right.
And something that maybe we won't discuss so much tonight, but when it comes to the next Premier League game, and Cher is back available as well. Botman, Burn and Cher. 3-2 doesn't go, so it's going to be
a nice problem for him.
Interesting decision that he has to make there.
Good luck if they get to that cup final. Good luck picking that team.
The way that Cher had been playing, you can't leave him out. You can't leave Botman out the way he's been playing. You can't leave Dan Burn. What can you do? So maybe people will have some ideas about that tonight as well. But then again, people might want to talk about Alexander Isak scoring yet again for the Magpies. His recent record's been phenomenal, and Eddie Howe is understandably delighted with him.
I thought he was free. He was quick, dynamic, dribbling with the ball, real counter-attack threat, took his goal ever so well again. He's in great form, an outstanding talent, an outstanding lad as well, a really nice person. He's got a great way about him that he's not ahead of himself. He knows he's still got areas to improve and wants to be the best. So I don't set targets, but we continually work at his game and try and find areas that can make him better, and I think that's the key thing. And for Alex, he has to keep wanting more, can't settle for anything or even have low targets. For me, there's no ceiling. You've just got to keep grabbing every moment you can.
Well, we've already had requests in to get our old friend John Driscoll, the Spanish football expert, who
changed his phone number, hasn't he?
I think he probably has. Andrew, for example, Simon. The time has finally come to get your Spanish journalist guy back on, who doesn't rate Isak. I think he probably rates him now. He needs a dose of Ando's medicine, says Andrew. Well, I might message him, Andrew, and see what he says. 7 goals in his last 5, 10 in his last 9. Anthony Gordon says he's the best in Europe. Someone's already messaged to say no, he's the best in the world. He's up there, isn't he?
I said last night I think he's the best in the Premier League at the moment. I don't think anybody could argue that. He's definitely up there with the best of them.
Him and Chris Wood.
I'm ignoring that statement. Chris Wood scored goals, but this boy does a lot more than score goals. He creates goals. He frightens the life out of defenders. He runs away from defenders, the one thing Chris Wood doesn't do.
He runs through them.
Yeah, he tries to, but Isak's just
unbelievable talent.
And you can see it at the moment. He's a player who's on top of his game, whose confidence is sky high. He's scoring goals for fun. You can see it every time he goes out on the football pitch. He thinks he's going to score. But if he's not scoring, he created the second one yesterday as well. The second goal, it's unbelievable because he hits it so early. There's no backlift. Mm-hmm. How he got that strike away with so much power. It was, just turned, bang, got it away, and Gordon following in at the back post knocks it into an empty net. But the way he's playing at the moment, there's going to be an awful lot of talk about him, and I think it's something that Newcastle fans are going to have to get used to. There was plenty of talk about him beforehand, but if he keeps going the way he's going, this could be a long month.
Now, Eddie Howe was also asked what the secret to his side's recent winning streak is. How are they winning game after game all of a sudden? Yeah,
I think it's something we wanted to do, we need to do, because I think it's only by doing it sometimes that you believe you can do it. And when you go into a run of games like that, we're looking at the fixture list and thinking, well, that's going to be a real stern test of us and our capabilities and what we mentally believe, what we physically believe we can achieve, and I think the players have been magnificent in that respect. We're a tight group and everyone's really stepped up and delivered.
Nobody would want to play them right now, Ander.
No, I wouldn't think so. I think they're a match for anybody in this league at this moment in time, the way they're playing with a great deal of belief, great deal of confidence, great deal of ability. Some of the football they're playing is great. I've said this before. They play a different type of game to a lot of sides in the Premier League. It's quick, it's energetic, it's in the faces of the opposition. We talk about ticky-tacky football, which a lot of sides play. Just pass it. Mm-hmm. We don't do that. Everything's with an energy and a purpose, and it's not slow. It's quick. It's to get at the opposition as quickly as you possibly can, and that's what we've been doing. And look, it's like everything as well. You need players to buy into what you're trying to do, and if you're winning games and you're winning games on a consistent basis, players will buy into it, and they'll buy into it even more when you're winning more and more games. And you can see that everybody's enjoying their football. It's hard work, there's no doubt about it. They've got a graft, they've got a chase, they've got a harry. But everybody in a black and white shirt is doing that, and it's we're reaping the rewards of it.
And things could have been very, very different though, Ander, couldn't they? Very, very different if they'd used a Premier League ball. Yes,
without a doubt, yeah. I don't know whether they used the Premier League ball in the previous 3 rounds for Arsenal or not.
No.
But he talks absolutely rubbish.
Well, I'll read you a quote. I mean, he said a few things about it, but he said, it's very different to a Premier League ball, and you have to adapt to that because it flies different. When you touch it, the grip is very different as well, so you adapt to that. He was basically hinting, because they did miss a few chances, a few flying over the bar and what have you, that maybe had something to do with it.
Well, some of the chances they missed weren't kicks, they were heads.
Yes, well, that's the ball again, isn't it?
Is it? No. So, but he never mentioned the 11 goals they got in the previous 3 games, did they? The previous 3 rounds.
That's why
it didn't seem to bother them then.
That's when Kai Havertz had a clear opportunity 4 yards from goal.
Hey, if he can't head it.
Yeah, well, it's because it's flying funny.
Yeah, is that why it came off his shoulder, was it?
Yes, got to feel sorry for him.
No, I didn't.
Would have hit his head if it was a proper ball.
Oh, would it? Oh, right.
Of course it would.
Yeah, correct, okay.
So a couple of people have messaged about this, actually. Mark says Arteta just likes to deflect the focus away from his players, and it works. Actually, that might be his tactic, mightn't it? Because he would have known the reaction it would get, and maybe that's exactly what he is trying to do, knowing how ridiculous it is. In which case, kind of fair play to him for doing that, making himself seem a bit of an idiot but he's actually just deflecting the attention. And Mark also adds, I genuinely think that Newcastle are now a goalkeeper, centre-back and right winger away from our first 11, pushing at the very top. Special mention for Lewis Hall. I forget how young he actually is when I watch him. And in Isak, we have a genuinely world-class player. Brian in Gateshead says, hi Simon, that was a rather hysterical reaction, very good, from Arteta. Does that mean that the two players have been playing with their I'm not going to read that, Brian, because it's slightly vulgar, more than Arsenal. I've been practicing with the balls more than Arsenal, Graham.
They will have been practicing, they will have been training with that ball all week.
Of course they will.
He as I don't know who it was texted in there saying he's trying to divert stuff away from his players. That's fair enough, if he wants to do that. But a ball's a ball. Doesn't matter. It's a ball.
Not every ball is the same.
They do vary. They do vary. To be fair,
they do.
Do you remember in the good old days, John? We used to play. You go to Anfield, it was an Adidas Tango. You go somewhere else, and it was a Mighty. You go somewhere else, and it was a Stuart Stubbert or something.
Nobody complained about them, though, Marco.
No,
because you got on
like
with
you
it.
said, you had a week to train with it.
Professional footballers.
Yeah.
They used to always have at World Cups. There used to always be a debate about the ball, and people used to complain about that. And we used to fly different, didn't they? The managers would say.
Yeah, but it depended on where you played that World Cup as well.
And
it didn't matter which ball you played. They'd all fly different.
Different balls and the altitude and everything.
The Adidas Tango was definitely a different ball to the old fashioned, to the miters. That did fly.
It's like playing golf as well, though, Pridey. golf balls fly differently at altitude and different. Yeah.
And again, those old brown balls with laces in that you used to play with, they flew
I tell you what.
They?
Yeah, if you cut them on the head with the laces, they didn't have forward, but they flew.
Martin Dubravka, could well be his last game. His reaction after the final whistle would suggest he was saying goodbye. He was very emotional, but with Nick Pope injured,
he's been excellent.
It's going to leave a gap.
Yeah, he's been excellent. What's he conceded? 2 goals in 7 games since coming back. His performances have been very good. He's been good with his feet as well. He's used it well. Couple of big blocks last night. Looked confident, looked assured. But it looks like, reading between the lines, as if he's going to go. Obviously you've got the cup tie on Sunday, and then we've got Wolves on Wednesday night. Yes. Will he go before that? I don't know.
Seems that he might.
But it does look like, reading between the lines, as if he's going to go. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I guess he can do what he did 2 years ago: come back and sit and watch it, and then win a medal.
He could do. Yeah.
Yes,
fair
play. Could do it that way.
Be a good quiz question.
Yeah, it would. Isaac Hayden, he's set to move to Portsmouth on loan. Very much a forgotten man, the midfielder.
Yeah.
That'll do him good, I guess. Get some football and probably do a job in the Championship.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah, he's been dogged by injuries as well throughout his career, but yeah, he's another one that needs to be playing football. And
Lopetegui, sacked by West Ham. I mean, it took them an age to do it.
The way they've done it is absolutely scandalous. He went in and took training today, and then they sacked him after training.
Even though they'd already had talks with Potter that everybody knew about.
Disgraceful.
Yes, so didn't last long. Just 22 matches, but so he has gone. So that's pretty much everything from a Newcastle and Premier League aspect this evening. We'd love to hear from you as well. 0800 234 6565. That's the number to call. Give us a bell. Anas is on the line, Newcastle fan. How are you doing, Anas?
Well, how are you? Happy New Year to you all.
Yeah,
Happy
to you,
New
mate.
Year. Happy New Year. What did you make of last night, Anas?
Oh, it was much better than I expected. I actually thought I'd be happy with a goalless draw, but no, we got more than we bargained for, I think. So really, really happy. But I'm also, as many Newcastle fans usually are, very, very cautious as well in the context of things, because we don't want to ruin that 2-0 lead next month. So hopefully, God willing, we repeat what we did last night and win another 2-0, and then we can comfortably go into the final again. So that's just the key, really. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I think the other thing I would say, the other fantastic thing about last night is not just the result, but the manner in which we went about it. We didn't look like we were a bunch of boys against a bunch of men at the Emirates last night, because I know we've got a rubbish record at the Emirates generally, but we just went there and took things in our stride and did the business and controlled it, really. So really, really happy. Absolutely fantastic. Just need to repeat it again next month at St James's Park.
Yeah, the disappointing thing is that we've got to wait for a month. I said earlier on, Anas, that an awful lot can happen in football in a month. We've got 5 league games, a cup game and 4 league games, I think, before that, the second leg of that cup game. And a lot can happen between now and then. I would have preferred if it was next week or 10 days time or whatever. But you're right. I think our home form's been excellent. I think the way we've gone about it at home's been first class. I think it doesn't matter who comes up here, they've found it very, very difficult, and we just need to go out with the same attitude, same discipline, and if we do that, we should win. But look, we know what football's like. It can quickly change, but last night's performance was excellent. There was so many good individual performance, and as a collective unit, everybody was just clued up. They just knew what their jobs was. They went and they did it. It was outstanding. It really was.
Absolutely agreed.
So
you went to say something. Yeah, no, I was just in awe of how Andrew just nailed that analysis there. But no, I was just saying what you said there earlier about just make the whole gap between now and the 5th of February. If I've got the date right for the second leg. I mean, I remember very freshly when we went to the West Ham game at the end of November, and there was a real solid expectation that we would win that easily, and yet it never happened. West Ham came and won their first away game since August, and actually really surprised everybody. So I mean, that's why I'm kind of, there is still that little cautious bit of me saying, but we've got to repeat it again in terms of what we did last night, because we don't want to go back to what happened at the end of November and then end up going into that, thinking we'll walk it, and then suddenly Arsenal sting us, and that's really the biggest danger. So we just have to be, I know it's a very, very, very common saying, guarding against complacency, but we've really got to ultra guard against complacency so that we don't end up, incredibly disappointed after what happened last night.
I think the one thing, since Eddie Howe has come in here, the one thing you would say about his side is that I've never seen any complacency about them. Yes, they've lost football matches, but it's not down to complacency. I don't think he would settle for that.
No, I don't want you thinking, or anyone thinking, I'm accusing anybody of subconsciously going towards complacency. I don't think the players are complacent at all. They know that there's so much at stake, but I think it's just a natural human thing. Sometimes when sometimes it just subconsciously creeps up upon the beings, and that's just, I think, just a slight thing to watch out for. But of course, I would never ever accuse anyone in that team or Eddie Howe of complacency at all. I think they know that it's one game at a time, and you've just got to go in there absolutely and win every single possible game.
Yeah, I understand the point you're making now. It's like you step out on the pitch, you think you're 2-0 up. Let's just be cautious. Let's not give anything away. And instead of going and playing your natural game, you become a little bit cautious. But I think this team's only got one way of playing. This was something we spoke about last night when people were saying, well, what way will they go about it? Will they look to get a result at the Emirates? Will they sit in? And my attitude was, well, they don't know how to do that. They've got a way of playing that's worked for them and worked for them really well, whether it be home or away, and that's to have a go with teams, get in their face, not sit back, put the pressure on the opposition. And that's exactly what they went and did last night, and you just think that they'll do exactly the same in that second leg, God willing.
Okay, Anas, I'm sure we'll speak to you again before that second leg, but thank you for now. I'm glad you enjoyed it last night.
Cheers. Take it easy. Cheers, Anas.
Anas, who's a Newcastle fan, setting the ball rolling this evening. We'd love to hear from you as well, particularly if you were there. Eddie sent a message. What a match. We were so lucky to be there. Give us a call if you can, Eddie. It'd be great to get you on and you can share your experience. Philip, who's a Sunderland fan, says many congratulations to Newcastle on last night's performance. Eddie Howe managed the team very well with the substitutions. Thinks Philip. Brian has been in touch on the Dubravka situation, which he says he finds strange. His emotions at the end of the game suggest he's going to Saudi. The keeper has been back to his form that he had under Rafa when he almost single-handedly kept us up, although he hasn't had a lot of saves to make. So he says Brian. Anyway, Howe says he would offer a contract, and Dub says he wants to stay. Is this one of those business PSR decisions mentioned by the manager? And will it cause friction with the director of football? We must have a plan, otherwise with Pope unfit, we'll end up with a third choice keeper at a crucial stage of the season.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I suppose if he's gone to Saudi, they would probably give him 2-3 years. Would he get that here? I don't think so. I think the big issue here is whether he would be number one. And this is something we've spoke about before, Simon. As he gone in and seen Eddie Howe, and Eddie Howe has said, well, Nick Pope's still the number one keeper. So we just don't know. I mean, it's all pure speculation, but he's at the age now where he's back in the side, he's playing well, he'll want to stay there, he'll want to be number one, but they probably haven't been able to guarantee him that, but we just don't know. I mean, they may well have offered him a contract, he may well have wanted 2 years, 3 years, they may have offered him a year, we don't know. But look, the one thing you would say is if he's going to Saudi, gets 2-3 year contract, he's
going to be getting more money than he would anyway here.
Absolutely.
But now then, let's head to St James's Park and the club shop where Matthew Raisbeck has been signing copies of his new book. No, he hasn't. He's been talking to the former Newcastle midfielder Rob Lee.
Rob Lee, we're at the club shop at St James's Park. Newcastle have relaunched and they're reselling the classic home shirt from the mid-90s, one that you wore with distinction. Talk to us about that shirt, because there were some great Adidas kits in the 90s and in the 2000s, but this tends to be everyone's favourite one.
Yeah, I think this is the kit that certainly I love playing in the most. You know, I had some great kits, but this, the grandad collar and the wider stripes, and that was just iconic with Newcastle, I think. We had a great manager, great team, great owner. All the memories come flooding back, you know. It's nice to get the shirt back on. It might be a size or two bigger, but it's still nice to have it on.
Now, you are still the last Newcastle player to score a goal at Wembley, but that record, that statistic may well go and belong to someone else soon, especially if they keep playing like they do, or they are at the moment, and they did last night against Arsenal. Just how good do you think they were, and that performance at the Emirates?
Yeah, the performance was unbelievable. I mean, I would have took a 1-0 either way, really. But I think it was an unbelievable away performance, defended brilliantly, and with some of the players we've got going forward, the exciting players we've got going forward, we're always going to score goals. And to be able to beat Arsenal 2-0 at their own home, it's still going to be tough in the second leg, but we've got a lead. I'd rather have a lead than have no lead. So they're still a very good team. The first goal will be very important, but you know, we've got a fantastic chance of getting to Wembley again and lifting a trophy. And I think probably Isak's got a pretty good chance of breaking my record if he gets to Wembley, because at the moment he's probably the best striker in the world.